Welcome to True Crime Threads. Today we uncover a shocking tale of love, betrayal, and murder. In a quiet, picturesque town, Aaron and Olivia seemed destined to be together. Their love story was the kind that could have been lifted from a romance novel, and everyone who knew them couldn't help but marvel at how perfect they were together. From their high school years to adulthood, Aaron and Olivia had walked every step of life hand in hand, growing closer with each passing season. They seemed not just like partners, but like a team that could face anything life threw at them. Their bond was a source of inspiration to those around them, and their shared history made their love appear unbreakable. Aaron was a dedicated architect who worked long hours but always made time for Olivia. He was passionate about his work, designing homes and commercial buildings with a precision and artistry that earned him respect in the community. Tall and slightly reserved, Aaron carried a natural charm that made him well-liked, though he was often quiet in social settings. Olivia, by contrast, was an outgoing kindergarten teacher known for her warm heart and infectious smile. She had a gift for making others feel at ease, and children adored her gentle but playful spirit. Together they balanced each other out, their personalities meshing perfectly, creating a partnership that appeared almost enviable. They had been dating for nearly a decade, and for a long time marriage was a future they both knew they'd eventually reach. Friends and family often joked that Aaron and Olivia were already practically married, and there was no doubt that they would make it official sooner or later. Olivia, for her part, had dreamt of their wedding since high school and would often find herself daydreaming about the life they would share in the years to come. For her, Aaron was more than just a boyfriend. He was her confidant, her best friend, the person she couldn't imagine her life without. Then, one day, Aaron decided it was time to make Olivia's dreams come true. He wanted the proposal to be unforgettable, so he planned a night that would leave her speechless. With the help of her closest friends and some careful planning, he arranged a magical setting at a charming overlook where they had shared their first date, a spot that held sentimental value for both of them. Aaron spent weeks making preparations, from renting lights to hiring a violinist and preparing a beautiful dinner under the stars. He wanted every moment to reflect how much she meant to him. On the night of the proposal, Aaron led Olivia, blindfolded, up to the overlook. When he finally removed the blindfold, Olivia gasped at the breathtaking sight before her. Soft, twinkling fairy lights wrapped around the trees, delicate rose petals scattered along the ground, and a table set for two under the open sky. Overcome with emotion, Olivia couldn't hold back tears of joy as Aaron got down on one knee and asked her to spend the rest of her life with him. His proposal was heartfelt, sincere, and filled with promises of a future he assured her would be filled with love, laughter, and lifelong commitment. The moment felt surreal to Olivia. It was everything she had ever wanted. Surrounded by their closest friends who had been watching nearby, Olivia joyfully accepted, saying yes to the man she believed would be her forever. News of the proposal quickly spread, and friends and family gathered to celebrate. Social media buzzed with pictures of the happy couple, captured in intimate moments of joy and laughter. Everyone in town was delighted, and it seemed like the fairy tale was now complete. Aaron and Olivia, high school sweethearts who had weathered so much together, were finally going to be husband and wife. Their love story was the kind everyone aspired to, a romance that, from the outside, seemed unshakable. But while the town celebrated, Olivia remained blissfully unaware that her dream engagement would soon spiral into a nightmare. The charming proposal, the seemingly unbreakable bond, none of it hinted at the darkness quietly creeping in. Unbeknownst to Olivia, the man she had promised her life to was hiding secrets that would ultimately destroy the very future she was so excited to embrace. After the proposal, something in Aaron's demeanor began to change, and those closest to him started noticing subtle but unsettling differences. He had once been deeply attentive to Olivia, always making her feel cherished, but after the engagement he became distant, as if lost in his own world. Aaron was distracted, often irritable, and he seemed to withdraw from everyone, even Olivia. Though she tried to ignore it at first, her happiness dampened, and she began to wonder if he was having second thoughts about their future together. The change in Aaron didn't go unnoticed by friends and family. Aaron, who had once been the life of every gathering, now avoided even the smallest social interactions. When they did see him, his mind seemed elsewhere, his laughter forced, and his responses curt. Many assumed it was the stress of his career or simply the natural nerves of impending marriage, but Olivia couldn't shake the feeling that something deeper was troubling him. Whenever she asked him directly, Aaron dismissed her concerns, brushing off her questions with vague explanations about work stress or pressure to meet deadlines. He often claimed he was too tired to talk, leaving Olivia feeling isolated and unsure of what to do. Despite Aaron's assurances, Olivia's worry grew with each passing day. He would disappear for hours, claiming he had business meetings, late work calls, or sudden errands that couldn't wait. He had never been the type to keep secrets from her before, but now his excuses sounded flimsy and hollow, like he was hiding something. Aaron's phone would buzz at odd hours, and though he tried to conceal it, Olivia would sometimes catch a glimpse of his anxious glances or his hurried attempts to silence it. She felt as if she were living with a stranger, and it saddened her to see the man she had loved so deeply become distant and cold. Over time, Olivia found herself confiding in close friends, desperate to understand what might be causing Aaron's strange behavior. Rumors quickly began to circulate within their social circle. Some speculated that he was involved in an affair, pointing to his increased secrecy and frequent absences as evidence. Others suggested he might be struggling with a gambling problem, given his recent interest in high-stakes poker games with colleagues. Though she tried to ignore the rumors, they began to haunt Olivia. Every suspicious glance or whisper fueled her growing sense of unease. Aaron, however, seemed increasingly paranoid and unapproachable, even angry if Olivia tried to probe too deeply. He began acting defensively, as though she were invading his privacy. With each deflected question, Olivia's doubts and fears grew. She began questioning everything she thought she knew about him, wondering if the man she had planned to spend her life with was hiding a side of himself she had never seen. Despite her growing discomfort, Olivia convinced herself that things would improve. She told herself that Aaron's behavior was just a phase, a bump in the road that every couple goes through. But deep down, she knew something was terribly wrong. The loving, attentive Aaron she had known was disappearing, replaced by someone colder, someone she barely recognized. The joyful man she once saw as her partner for life now seemed a stranger she couldn't reach. In public, Aaron continued to maintain a facade of happiness and enthusiasm about the wedding, but in private, Olivia began to sense an almost calculated detachment. It was as if he were following a script, going through the motions while concealing something hidden and dark. Every time Olivia tried to confront him, Aaron would shift the blame back onto her, accusing her of being overdramatic or paranoid. Over time, Olivia grew hesitant to bring up her concerns, and her spirit seemed to shrink in the shadow of Aaron's unpredictable moods. The dream of their perfect future began to feel like a distant memory. The loving man who had made that beautiful proposal now felt miles away, slipping further each day into a world Olivia couldn't follow. With each passing week, she found herself asking the same troubling questions. Was Aaron really the man she thought he was? Or was there a part of him she had never truly known? One chilly autumn evening, Olivia's best friend, Claire, waited anxiously for her outside a quaint restaurant where they had planned to have dinner together. Olivia was never late without a good reason, and Claire's initial irritation quickly turned into worry as the minutes ticked by. She tried calling, but Olivia's phone went straight to voicemail. After waiting an hour with no word, Claire's anxiety grew, and she began to reach out to other friends, hoping someone had heard from her. None had. When Olivia didn't return home that night, her friends and family grew increasingly concerned. Early the next morning, Claire contacted the police, filing a missing persons report. Panic rippled through the small town as word spread. Olivia was well loved, and her disappearance seemed impossible. She was known for her reliability, her caring nature, and her commitment to her friends and family. Her absence left a hollow, eerie silence, and it quickly became apparent that something was terribly wrong. Aaron, too, claimed to be devastated, but his reaction raised eyebrows. Friends who went to comfort him found him strangely calm, even distracted, when he explained that he had no idea where Olivia could be. He spoke about her in the past tense, his face expressionless, which unnerved many. Rather than joining the search efforts or distributing flyers, Aaron kept mostly to himself, expressing frustration rather than sorrow or urgency. While friends initially brushed it off as shock, Aaron's odd composure soon raised doubts. As police began investigating, they noticed contradictions in Aaron's statements. He had claimed to be working late the night of Olivia's disappearance, but phone records told a different story. Instead of being at his office, Aaron's phone pinged near an isolated lake on the outskirts of town around midnight, a location far from his reported whereabouts. Detectives wondered why he hadn't mentioned this, especially when they confronted him with the information. Aaron dismissed it as an innocent detour, claiming he had needed time alone to clear his head after a stressful day. But the explanation seemed flimsy, especially given the timing and distance from his usual routes. Investigators dug deeper into Aaron's actions in the days leading up to Olivia's disappearance. They uncovered a series of unusual purchases on his credit card: cleaning supplies, industrial gloves, and heavy-duty trash bags. When questioned, Aaron stammered through an explanation, insisting the purchases were related to a home renovation project, but the detectives were unconvinced. The seemingly innocent items took on a sinister significance against the backdrop of Olivia's unexplained absence. With suspicions mounting, police obtained a warrant to search Aaron's car and home. What they found only deepened the mystery. In the trunk of his car, they discovered faint traces of blood. Though Aaron denied knowing how it got there, the evidence was compelling. The blood matched Olivia's type, leading detectives to suspect that foul play was involved. Aaron's alibi continued to unravel, with each new piece of evidence pointing toward a darker truth he seemed desperate to keep hidden. The media soon picked up on the story, dubbing it the vanishing bride-to-be. Reporters hounded Aaron, filming him as he left his house and capturing his increasingly agitated expressions. Friends and family of Olivia held vigils, clinging to hope despite the grim developments. But the questions surrounding Aaron's involvement grew louder, and whispers of betrayal and secrets flooded the town. In a final, desperate attempt to locate Olivia, the police organized a large-scale search of the lake where Aaron's phone had last pinged. Dozens of volunteers joined law enforcement, combing the area for any trace of her. Days passed with no luck, and as the search efforts continued, the community braced for the worst. Then, in a shallow area near the lake's edge, divers uncovered a chilling discovery: a woman's jacket, partially buried under stones, with bloodstains on the collar and sleeves. The jacket was confirmed to be Olivia's. Though it wasn't definitive proof of her fate, it pointed to a tragic outcome. Olivia's friends and family were devastated by the news, while detectives grew more determined to uncover the truth. The investigation took on new urgency, as police pursued Aaron's every connection and transaction, determined to find evidence that would lead them to the missing woman. As Aaron remained their prime suspect, he attempted to maintain a facade of innocence. But his actions spoke louder than his words. The community watched closely, hearts breaking as each day passed without answers. The beautiful engagement, once celebrated as a dream come true, now appeared to be nothing more than a cruel pretense, a cover for an unimaginable betrayal. Suspicion and sorrow weighed heavily on those who had once believed in Aaron and Olivia's love story, as they grappled with the devastating reality that Olivia's fate might be far darker than anyone had feared. The lake discovery sent shockwaves through the small town, marking a turning point in the investigation. The blood-stained jacket was a grim reminder of Olivia's last known whereabouts, and though her body hadn't been found, the evidence pointed overwhelmingly toward foul play. With renewed determination, detectives intensified their focus on Aaron, convinced he held the key to the mystery of her disappearance. As investigators pieced together Aaron's recent behavior, financial records, and acquaintances, a much darker story began to take shape. Aaron had always been regarded as reliable and respectable, a man with a promising career in architecture. But beneath his polished exterior, detectives discovered a side of him few had ever seen. In the weeks before Olivia's disappearance, Aaron had made a series of puzzling financial decisions. The most shocking discovery was an unexpected life insurance policy he had taken out on Olivia, a move he had made only a week before the proposal. The policy, valued at a substantial sum, was made payable solely to him in the event of her death. When questioned, Aaron claimed that he and Olivia had agreed on the policy as a mutual safety net for their future. But the timing and sole beneficiary designation made his story hard to believe. Further digging into Aaron's financial records revealed staggering gambling debts, a secret he had managed to keep hidden from nearly everyone. Investigators discovered that Aaron had frequented underground poker games, racking up losses that now amounted to tens of thousands of dollars. In the months leading up to the engagement, Aaron's gambling addiction had spiraled out of control, and he had grown desperate for a way to pay off his debts without jeopardizing his reputation. The picture that emerged was not one of a doting fiancé, but of a man trapped by his own financial recklessness, cornered and scrambling for a way out. Investigators began to suspect that Aaron's entire engagement had been a calculated move to ensnare Olivia in a deadly trap. The lavish proposal, the romantic gestures, all of it appeared to be part of an elaborate ploy. If Aaron could stage her death to look like a tragic accident or disappearance, he would stand to gain a fortune from the insurance payout. With his debts paid off, he could start fresh, free from the consequences of his gambling and greed. The deeper detectives probed, the more they saw Aaron's cold, calculated motives emerging from beneath the facade of a loving fiancé. With mounting evidence, detectives confronted Aaron about the life insurance policy, the debts, and his suspicious movements on the night Olivia went missing. He responded with evasions and half-hearted explanations, growing more defensive with each question. Aaron's confident demeanor began to crumble, revealing a man on the edge, visibly shaken as the weight of his lies bore down on him. The mask he had worn so skillfully began to slip, exposing his true nature to those around him. As detectives continued building their case, forensic experts analyzed the traces of blood found in Aaron's car. Testing confirmed it was Olivia's blood, sealing the final piece of evidence that linked him directly to her disappearance. Confronted with this undeniable link, Aaron grew increasingly desperate, even attempting to discredit the forensic findings. But the evidence was too overwhelming and his explanations too flimsy. Aaron's story unraveled entirely, leaving him isolated and with no allies to defend him. The shocking nature of Aaron's betrayal left those closest to Olivia reeling. The community, once sympathetic, now viewed him with a mix of horror and disbelief. His own family distanced themselves, horrified by the cold calculations behind his actions. The small town, previously captivated by the romance between Aaron and Olivia, was now transfixed by the chilling story of a man willing to sacrifice the woman he was supposed to love in order to pay off his debts. What had once seemed like a love story for the ages was exposed as a twisted plan fueled by selfish ambition and greed. The story captivated the media, drawing attention from true crime enthusiasts across the country. Headlines referred to Aaron as the gambler fiancé and the architect of deceit. Reporters dug deeper into his past, revealing a pattern of financial irresponsibility and risk-taking behavior that had been hidden behind his successful career. Friends who had once trusted and admired Aaron now viewed him as a stranger, a man capable of unimaginable betrayal. The story quickly became a cautionary tale, a haunting reminder that people are not always who they appear to be. As Aaron awaited trial, the weight of his decisions loomed large. He was charged with murder, insurance fraud, and premeditated conspiracy, charges that painted him as a man willing to manipulate and destroy lives to escape his own failures. With each revelation, the town mourned Olivia's tragic fate, haunted by how close they had all been to a predator disguised as a partner. The once celebrated engagement proposal now stood as a sinister memory, a reminder of Aaron's betrayal and Olivia's untimely loss. And though justice was on the horizon, The community would forever carry the scars of a love story that had become a nightmare, a painful testament to the true cost of deception and greed. The trial of Aaron Reeves was a media sensation, drawing intense public interest as prosecutors laid out a chilling case of betrayal and murder. Aaron sat stoically in the courtroom, his once proud demeanor now subdued, his face showing little emotion as the prosecution detailed the calculated nature of his crime. The prosecutors argued that Aaron had meticulously planned Olivia's death for financial gain, presenting the jury with a damning sequence of events that depicted a man willing to do anything to pay off his debts, even if it meant taking the life of the woman he had promised to cherish. The courtroom was packed every day of the trial, with Olivia's family and friends filling the seats, their grief palpable. They listened as the prosecution described how Aaron's gambling addiction had spiraled, leaving him deeply in debt to dangerous loan sharks. They pointed out that in his desperation, Aaron had devised a plan to secure the money he needed by taking out a life insurance policy on Olivia and staging her disappearance. Each piece of evidence painted a portrait of a man whose love for money had eclipsed any humanity he might have had. Key witnesses took the stand, including Olivia's best friend, Claire, who tearfully recounted how Olivia had been growing increasingly worried about Aaron's behavior in the weeks before her disappearance. Claire described the unease Olivia had felt, her uncertainty about Aaron's secrecy and late-night absences, and the heartbreaking way she had clung to the hope that it was just wedding jitters. Claire's testimony was powerful, conveying Olivia's love for Aaron, which made his betrayal all the more devastating. Forensic experts testified next, explaining in detail the bloodstains found in the trunk of Aaron's car. They described how the blood matched Olivia's DNA and how the pattern suggested that a violent struggle had taken place. This revelation caused gasps from the courtroom, as those in attendance imagined Olivia's final moments. The physical evidence was undeniable, a grim confirmation of the horror Olivia had likely faced at the hands of someone she had trusted completely. Her family sat with tears in their eyes, enduring each painful detail as it was laid bare before the jury. But perhaps the most shocking moment came when the prosecution introduced the financial evidence of Aaron's mounting debts and the hidden insurance policy. The jury listened as bank statements, loan records, and gambling receipts were read aloud, painting a vivid picture of Aaron's reckless lifestyle. This evidence, combined with the policy he had taken out on Olivia's life, solidified the prosecution's argument Aaron had seen Olivia as nothing more than a solution to his financial problems, a ticket out of debt, rather than the love of his life. His motive was clear, and it was damning. When the defense attempted to portray Aaron as a man under stress who had been driven to irrational behavior, the argument fell flat. The prosecution had built an airtight case, and the defense's efforts to shift blame or cast doubt on the evidence were unconvincing. The jury sat expressionless, their eyes fixed on Aaron as they absorbed each piece of the puzzle, the betrayal and violence leaving little room for sympathy. After days of testimony, the jury deliberated for only a few hours before reaching a unanimous verdict guilty of first-degree murder and insurance fraud. When the verdict was announced, a ripple of relief and sorrow swept through the courtroom. Olivia's family held each other, mourning the justice won for their beloved daughter but grieving the life that had been so cruelly taken. Aaron, once a promising architect and fiancé, was now a convicted murderer, condemned to spend the rest of his life behind bars. The sentencing was swift, and Aaron was handed a life sentence with no possibility of parole. The community that had once celebrated his engagement to Olivia now looked upon him as a monster, a reminder of the darkness that can hide in plain sight. His once respected name became a cautionary tale, a symbol of deception, greed, and the ultimate betrayal. In the months following the trial, Olivia's friends and family sought ways to honor her memory. They organized events and fundraisers, channeling their grief into advocacy against domestic violence and financial exploitation. Her story became a beacon of awareness, a painful but necessary reminder of the hidden dangers that can lie beneath even the most beautiful facades. The community, though scarred, found strength in each other, determined to keep Olivia's legacy alive. For the town, the horror of Olivia's story left an indelible mark. The picturesque streets and quiet neighborhoods held memories of a couple who had once seemed destined for a bright future. But now they served as a silent witness to a tragedy that had unfolded in their midst, a stark reminder that trust, once broken, can leave wounds that never fully heal. Olivia's family continued to visit the overlook where Aaron had proposed to her, finding solace in the place that had once symbolized happiness and hope. They planted a small garden in her memory, a living tribute to her kindness and warmth. It was their way of reclaiming a space that had been tainted by betrayal, a quiet act of defiance against the darkness that had taken her life. And in time the flowers grew, a symbol of resilience and remembrance for a life stolen far too soon.